Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something pretty incredible. How does a country's air force, one that's totally dependent on other nations just to keep its planes flying, somehow manage to start building its own advanced fighter jets from scratch? Well, that's exactly the story of the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? And the answer really is the story of the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, or PAC for short. You see, for decades, the Pakistan Air Force had this fundamental problem, and it wasn't just about having the latest tech. We're talking about a real threat to national survival, to its sovereignty. Okay, so let's set the scene. Before the 1970s, the Pakistan Air Force had some pretty advanced aircraft, but they also had this massive vulnerability, a real Achilles heel that probably kept their top brass up at night. And it was a weakness that could literally ground their entire fleet without a single enemy shot ever being fired. And here it is, the heart of the issue. They were completely dependent on other countries. I mean, think about it. Every single time a jet needed a serious overhaul or just one critical spare part, the whole thing had to be shipped abroad. Now, that's not just crazy expensive, it's a massive strategic choke point. It put a serious cap on how ready the Air Force could be at any given moment.
So you can see how this just wasn't going to work long term. This kind of dependency was totally unsustainable. Pakistan absolutely needed a solution, a homegrown one, to fix this strategic problem. They needed a way to, take control of their own military destiny. And their answer was this: the creation of the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex back in 1971. And let's be clear, this wasn't just some glorified repair shop. From day one, the vision was for it to be this huge, sprawling defense organization. It was a massive national project designed specifically to bring all those critical aerospace skills back home. So, how in the world did they pull it off? Well, PAC didn't just jump in and try to build a fighter jet right out of the gate. No, their strategy was way smarter than that. The very first step was to become absolute masters of the technology they already had. And here's how they did it, which is actually pretty brilliant. They systematically split up the work. First, they set up the Aircraft Rebuild Factory to focus on their Chinese-made planes. That's where they got really good at reverse engineering parts. Then, just a couple of years later, they opened the Mirage Rebuild Factory to do the same thing for their French and American jets. It was almost like they were setting up these specialized schools to learn from the best aviation powers in the world. And believe me, this strategy paid off in a huge way. I love this headline. It just says it all, right? Thrifty at 50. By zeroing in on maintenance, overhauls, and getting really good at reverse engineering, PAC didn't just save the country billions of dollars. What was arguably even more important is that they built this incredible foundation of technical know-how and a seriously skilled workforce.
But, becoming masters of maintenance? That was really just the beginning. All that foundational knowledge they were building up, that was the launch pad for their ultimate goal, to actually design and build their very own aircraft, right from the blueprint stage. And if you look at this timeline, you can see just how clear and deliberate their plan was. They didn't bite off more than they could chew. They started back in 1981 with the Mushak, a pretty basic trainer. Then you fast forward to the 90s, and they've moved on to the K-8, a more advanced jet trainer they co-developed with China. See the pattern? Each step was a building block, patiently leveling up their skills and capabilities until they were finally ready for the big one, the JF-17 Thunder, a truly modern, sophisticated fighter jet. And then came June 2009. After almost 40 years of learning, building, and grinding, this incredible journey hit its biggest milestone yet. This was the moment that serial production of the JF-17 Thunder officially kicked off at PAC's Aircraft Manufacturing Factory. A national dream was now literally rolling off a production line. Okay, but a modern fighter jet is so much more than just a metal frame with an engine, right? It's basically a flying supercomputer. And as PAC's abilities grew, their expertise in things like avionics and electronics started to branch out, and it led them into the civilian world in a really, really unexpected way. To make all this happen, they had to create the Avionics Production Factory, and its mission was huge. It had to handle everything from the big ground-based radar systems all the way to the complex digital guts inside the cockpit of the plane itself. See, mastering the electronics was every bit as crucial as mastering the metalworking. And this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. They took all this deep knowledge of electronics and used it to launch their own line of consumer products. No, I'm not kidding. A military aerospace complex started making tablet computers and e-readers. It was a really smart, strategic move to branch out, to keep their top engineers challenged, and to find new ways to use their tech. It's just an amazing example of how defense research can sometimes spill over into our everyday lives.
So PAC had achieved its main goal, right? Self-reliance for Pakistan. But they didn't just pack up and go home. From there, they've actually become a pretty significant player in the very competitive global defense market. And a huge part of their success, right from the beginning, has been built on these international partnerships. I mean, they're still working with some of the absolute biggest names in the aerospace world, from China, Turkey, Italy, France, and even the US. This constant collaboration is really what's key to staying on the cutting edge of all this advanced tech. And because of this web of partnerships and their own proven products, they've been able to export their aircraft all over the world. We're talking about things like the Super Moshuk trainer and, of course, the advanced JF-17 fighter. They've sold them to air forces around the world, turning what started as a national necessity into a truly global business. So when you look at the whole story, PAC is just this powerful case study, isn't it? It shows how a nation can build a genuinely world-class aerospace industry from basically nothing, all through smart, strategic planning and taking it one step at a time. But it also leaves us with this really critical question for the future. You know, as military tech gets more and more complex and unbelievably expensive, can this model of national self-reliance still work, or is deep international collaboration now the only real way forward?